Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Spotlight, which takes place every Monday at 9 p.m. exclusively on Vasantham TV and the official YouTube channel of Prime Television. Now today we have the honor of hosting a distinguished guest on our show. Joining us today is Justice Khema Swarnadhipathi. Her ladyship is a respected figure in the field of justice with a remarkable career spanning years of dedicated service, and her ladyship is a judge at the Court of Appeal of Sri Lanka. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mariella.
My first question for you is, you are the first High Court judge in Anuradhapura for the Special High Court Judge for Children. What was that experience like?
Yes. Anuradhapura is basically a Buddhist area, and coming from a Catholic background, it was a challenge for me because most of the children who came to me are from the underprivileged areas where transport was very difficult. Understanding those children because of language barriers, religious, cultural, all that was difficult for me. But within a very short time, with the help of the bar and the staff, I was able to think in the sense of the child's purview. Therefore, what we taught in Colombo and suburbs is not the thoughts of those children, because their parents go to the Chenna cultivation, the children are left alone. They go to collect firewood to the jungles, and then they have love affairs because they have no other alternative time to pass off their time. So the only thing they can think of is love affairs, and for them love means sex. So when the moment the police hears of something, they bring the children to courts, and so I had to understand their problem from their point of view. And we had to settle most cases because by the time the cases came to courts, some children were married, and by the time they came to courts, they had gone through so many things, they were reluctant to speak in court. So that was one of the challenges I had to face with the children. And the language they used was not our language. So to introduce the body parts, they were saying all kinds of things. We thought it's best that we get a picture done and ask the child to show the body parts, so that we write down the part that they have mentioned, they had shown us. Again, there was this problem. Some perpetrators, the children didn't want to see their faces. So we had to bring a screen in and have all the evidence taken without showing the accused to the child. And at the end of the day, when the identification came into play, then only we would take the screen out and ask the child to identify. So those were really challenging situations for us to start a new courthouse dedicated for that.
After that, there have been more courthouses for children? Or
Not to my knowledge.
So it's the first and still this only going courthouse for
Yes,
children?
that was called the Special High Court during my time, but now it's court number 2.
Okay. We were also talking about children being brought into court for offences. Why do you think children are brought into the scenario?
There are various reasons. Sometimes as sex offenders, sometimes as victims, sometimes for stealing little things. Then some children are brought in for running away from homes and schools. And if you take, most of these children come to courts because of their family backgrounds, family breakdowns, because they had no love and care. So whatever the reason they come in, actually the society is to be blamed. Their parents, their families, their teachers, all of them have to take the responsibility to why the children are brought to courts.
Let's talk about the duty of society to look after children, Your Ladyship.
Yes, today the society is trained, especially parents and teachers, they try to push their children towards education, to be the first in class, to get 8 distinctions. Say a Montessori student, even a 3-year-old, is sent for tuition. So however much I try to tell, even my own staff, that 3-year-old should not be sent to tuition because that child should be allowed to develop at its own space. People don't understand that. So the adult should be educated regarding the rights of children, the right for the children to play, the children to sleep at proper times, their meals should be given, not fed something from one tuition class to the other. At least till the children are about 15, they should have their own time for leisure, for reading, building up their own hobbies. That is no longer seen in our society. The only pleasure children derive is either from the iPhone or from watching a teddy drama, something like that. So that is why, since the adult world is neglecting the children has to come to courts.
Your Ladyship, there is also a misconception that goes, parents often think the child has to either be a doctor, a main profession, but there are many more other professions in the world, everything is changing.
Our schools do not cater for career guidance.
Yes.
I think every school should have a career guidance. Children should be allowed to learn. There are so many avenues where a child can take, like music. If you take music, not only singing or playing, but there is background, there is a lot to be done. If you take medicine, the field of medicine, it's not only the doctor. What about the pharmaceuticals? Then there are these people who do testing for various things like that. But why should we demand a child to be a doctor when he is not a doctor? Yes. The father had not bothered to be a doctor, he is demanding the son to be a doctor. If he knew the amount of pressure he had to undergo to become a doctor, he would never pressure his child to be one. So, because we don't know about the other professions, we only know about the accountant, the doctor, the engineer. Those are the only things, or a lawyer or a teacher.
Yes.
But in the context of Sri Lanka, to develop Sri Lanka, we need so many other people in this country. So even say a carpenter, there is something that you can teach them, not the normal village carpenter, but to manufacture things, to go to the world market, things like that, toys, to make toys. A carpenter can do a lot of things with proper training. So every profession is equally good and equally should be respected.
And I also think I wouldn't say it's an issue, but this mentality is often seen with the senior generation. Do you think there is a way we can educate that generation into thinking there is more than being a doctor, there are other professions as well? Do you think maybe in the future we could inculcate that mentality, or will it take time?
It will take time, definitely, not with my generation really. I am also to be blamed. Younger generation have realized it now.
Yes.
So because in our times we did not know what's happening in the world, either with the news or by reading papers. But today the entire universe, the world is one village. The children are far advanced in Facebook, WhatsApp. So for them, whether you live in Canada or whether you live in Australia or Sri Lanka, doesn't matter. They know what's happening in that part of the world within seconds.
Yes.
So they are more advanced than us.
Your Ladyship, let's talk about the process of rehabilitation in Sri Lanka. Over the years, have you seen an improvement in this area in terms of children or anyone who heads into rehabilitation?
Yes, we have rehabilitation centers for children, for drug addicts, women, and even for people who were involved in terrorist activities. But after the rehabilitation period is over, whether there is a monitoring system is a question. I'm not sure of it because that field does not come under us.
Okay.
We only order them to be sent to the rehabilitation center. But for the children, I would not like to use the word rehabilitation.
Okay.
Because children are children. They were born with an open mind.
True.
Actually, I have studied Dr. Maria Montessori's theories, and in that they say the child is born with like an open sponge. So whatever we put into the sponge, it absorbs.
That's
so
true.
That is what is again sent back to the society. So why if we give the correct things, we don't have to rehabilitate. But of course, they are the most vulnerable people who get setbacks. So we will have to have counseling towards such children, not rehabilitation.
How important do you think it is as a woman, as women in society, to uphold values and principles in society?
The woman is the person who reflects the country's standards. If the women are respected, that means the country has a high culture, because the woman is the one who becomes the mother and molds the children towards a better society. Because of that, women must from their very early age learn to be honest, hardworking, dedicated, because what you are giving it to your children. So it's pointless scolding our generations or our youth if the mothers and fathers have not done their duty. The majority comes to the mother because the context the child has is during the first few years is with the mother. So to be a mother, you must be somebody who is very loving, caring, and understanding. Most essentially, be patient.
Do you think it's difficult as a woman to live alone in society? There's a lot of social stigma going on. What do you think of it, your ladyship?
There is social stigma in our society. So if sometimes for a wedding or some important event, a person would not like to see the unmarried woman or a barren woman as they call. But those are myths only. Every human being has values in them. And everybody is a lucky person to me. I have no barren people or unlucky people in my life. So earlier girls were not educated in our society. But today the children are educated. Whether you are a girl or a boy, you have the same position, you have the same opportunity. So if men can live alone, the women can. But the woman must be more careful, because if you give any chances, people will use it wrongly. Yeah. So you must learn to live strongly but very diligently. You must be aware of what you dress, how you address yourself. Then I don't think there is any problem for women to be living as a single person in society.
Now, we have many lawyers coming into the field. What do you think or what do you consider to be the most important qualities that are essential in making a judge successful?
Yes. Now, for a judge, one must be very, very patient.
Okay.
And you must not talk, you must listen.
Right.
You must you must learn to be a person who is listening to others and not trying to give your ideas or what you think, especially when you are hearing a case. The patience is the most important thing. You have to give time, because it is their case, not mine, the litigant's case. So some litigants, they are nervous when they come to courts. We must be patient with them, kind to them. We should be humble enough to understand that I am a judge because the society has paid for me. Yeah. Because it is with their money that free education was introduced. And it is because of free education that we are judges. While maintaining the decorum of court and the dignity, you must be kind, patient, give a good hearing, and at the end of it, you must give your reasons as to why you come to a conclusion in a language that the litigant can understand, because he's the most important person before court.
Your Ladyship, you are a role model for many young women out there in general. So how do you balance your professional life with your personal life? You are also a mother. How do you strike that balance?
We can achieve anything with dedication. This profession, I really love it. It was my dream. So I have fulfilled my dream, but even fulfilling it, there is a demand that children were born to this world because I wanted them. If I got them down to this earth, I have a duty to look after them. It's not anything but, it's hard work, but time management is very important. Because I used to cook at home, do all the washing, and then supervise their studies, because my husband was most of the time away from home on his official duties. I was with the children most. And every night I would read to them till they fell asleep. And the best I heard from my children was when my daughter was leaving home at the age of 17 plus. She said, "Ammi, I had a contented life." I think she gave me the best gift of all. Because both my children, they used to come to the kitchen and cook with me. They are good cooks.
Okay.
They used to do all the work that I do. So my daughter is she can sew well, she can cook well. Because whatever I do, both the children were always with me. So we can share our work. We all did everything together. And at a very early age, both learned to be independently do their own work. But they knew that I will be there for them. That confidence is what is very important. So I tell the mothers, we got them down to this earth. And we wanted to do a profession. So it is up to us to manage our time well and to make our children independent, but give them the confidence that we will be with them at any moment they need us.
As a society, Your Ladyship, what are the steps you think we can take to encourage women to take up positions in leadership?
We'll have to train them in leadership management, especially government must give a quota in everything for women. Now, when you take positions in appointments, they give quota to Muslims, the Hindus, they give for Sinhala, Tamil, all kinds of quotas are created. Why not for women? Now, there are 17 judges in the Supreme Court, only 2 women judges. There are 20 at the Court of Appeal, only 2 women judges. So, I won't say there should be 10 women judges and 10 male judges, but there should be some kind of a balance. More women participation should be there. Even in the parliament, very less women. But if you take the country as a whole, the majority are women. The more percentage of population is women, but they are not being represented in any area. So I think this is where the government will have to take a policy decision. Without that, training women to be leaders will never help them. Because when it comes to appointments, they always prefer men. They always say women are weak, they can't take these positions. Well, in my case, I proved no, they are wrong. Because I was the first magistrate to be appointed to Polonnaruwa at a time when the LTT was striking. We had villages like Valikam, the police station, and Madirigiriya, which were always considered as, what do you call them, the border villages.
Okay.
And in those areas, nearly very often there were LTT people coming and attacking the villagers, killing. So middle of the night we had to go and work with the dead body to clear the dead bodies. As a woman I proved that. And Polonnaruwa is an area where you can't go wearing a sari because mostly jungle area.
Yeah.
So then I spoke to the Chief Justice at that time, Justice GPS De Silva, gave me permission to wear trousers and boots. So we can adjust. Not that women can't, women can. And women will do a better job than men when it comes to that.
Your ladyship, it is also a universal fact that women tend to be more emotional, very emotionally driven. So do you think it plays a part in women in leadership?
I don't think so. It's true that our emotions are much greater than the men's. We show it off.
Yes.
But then there are men who take drinks because they are so emotionally moved.
Yeah.
Women cry it off. That's the only difference. But emotions will not be an obstacle if you are doing a job properly. What is important is your dedication and giving yourself to the work. You can be emotional. There have been times when I have been emotional. But my emotions, I was able to guard them and control them because I knew this was my job. Like in Polonnaruwa, again, there were at night sometimes, there were about 75-80 army personnel's bodies being brought up from Batiklo after a camp had been attacked. I'm a human being. I was very young at that time. I was feeling these are our men who had gone to safeguard us. But then I was not crying. I stayed up the nights trying to clear the bodies up and hand them over to their parents, holding the inquest and giving their death certificates so the spouses or whoever, the parents, children can go ahead with life. We have emotions, but there are times, if you are in a leadership position, if you are really dedicated, you can control them and go ahead.
As women, there's nothing that can stop us.
No, women can do anything.
That's true. As someone prominent who holds position as a leader, I'm pretty sure you have come across criticism. How have you dealt with it? What was the strategy you used to to move forward and use it in a positive way?
Can a dog barks move a mountain?
No.
That's what I did. I just ignored. If you ignore and go forward, one day they'll criticize, the next day they'll criticize. When they know that there is no feedback from you, they'll forget it.
That's why they say silence is golden.
That's right.
So how do you stay motivated and resilient throughout your journey? It's a very tough job. How do you keep that the motivation to keep going every day?
My father was a judge.
Okay.
And the day I was taking my oath as a judge, he sat with me at the bar table of the Chief Magistrates Court, Colombo. And he told me, think and be sure that you will have the courage to come and sit in this bar table again. If you think you can't, don't climb those steps. So what he said is that I should always remember my beginnings.
Okay.
Remembering my beginnings and remembering that at the end of the day, I have to come back home to nothing, or I have to end my life with nothing, gives me the courage that I have to do better every day because I have a responsibility to the people of this country. I have to give them justice. I have to work for them. That keeps me going because when I come home, I should be able to say, I have run my race and I'm waiting for the crown. So to achieve that crown, I have to strive hard.
Let's get into something a little more different. I think our viewers will like to know how you started off, what was it like when you were young, schooling, and a little more things like that as well.
I was educated at St. Peter's Convent, Colombo. I lost my mother at the age of 8.5.
I'm so sorry about
and my father was a single parent.
Okay.
He was a judicial officer. There were 5 of us, so it was a tough job for him. But at home, he never treated us as girls and boys. We were just children. We used to fight, all 5 of us. It was a constant battle at home. Sometimes my father used to say, it's better working in courthouses than controlling the 5 of you. We were always said that there are 5 fingers with the palm, and each 5 fingers have a duty to do. And if one loses, others will also lose the power. So he kept that unity among the siblings, and we see that today also. Though my father is dead and gone, that unity, the family unity, the respect for each other, all that was taught to us by him. And that took me a long way. In school, the teachers were very good to us. They were very understanding. I go to see them. Even recently, I visited 2 of my teachers who taught me in grade 7 and 8. They were like our second parents. We were able to go and tell them anything. Especially our principal, late Sister Immaculate, who passed away recently. She was I think she was the first Sri Lankan principal we had it at St. Bridget's. She was a very understanding lady, very strict. We were mostly frightened of her. But at the same time, we knew if there is a problem, she's always there for us. So all that, I think my school days, my friends, then at the university, my colleagues, they all played a part in my life. I learned a lesson from all of them. Especially at the university, we had students coming from all walks of life, unlike at school. So there was something for me to learn from all of them. And up to date, we all keep in contact. So in the law college, again, there's something for me to learn from each and every person. Every human being has good and bad. I learned to throw away the bad things of every person and take only the good qualities. I think that was the secret of my success.
Your ladyship, you have achieved so much in your life, but you remain so humble about your beginnings and everything you've achieved. Let's tell our viewers how you do that, because being humble is very important, especially when someone achieves a great amount of success for all the good things. It's important that you remain humble. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I'm a Catholic. Every time when there is a problem, when there is something, I think of Christ on the cross. Because that was taught to me by my school. And if God's Son can be humble for the betterment of the human race, why not I be humble? Who am I compared to him?
So it makes a lot of sense. Your ladyship, thank you so much for this very interesting conversation, and I know it was quite difficult to get you today as well, but thank you so much for being with us today. Time is ticking and we have to end today's discussion, and I want to thank you on behalf of everyone of ITN for being here with us and sharing your journey, your life, and inspiring the future generations as well. So thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to join us today in this very informative discussion. Today we were in conversation with Justice Khema Swarnadhipathi, Judge of the Appeal Court, only and exclusively on the Spotlight on Vasantham TV and the official YouTube channel of Prime Television. Join us again next Monday evening at 9 p.m. for the Spotlight, where you will find a story that will ignite change. Good night and stay safe.